So their early days, it was obvious it was a mom and pop shop. We were a small organization growing into a bigger organization.
I'd say the early days were truly the wild, wild west.
Back then, and I've used this joke before, I said the only harness we had when I started roofing was the one we rode in the horse on the way to work, because I've been doing it a long time.
Our vehicles, it was a challenge to get to the job in some of the vehicles we had.
It was an old white Dodge, and when you tried to start it, it sounded like Dino the dinosaur.
I mean, that was the first obstacle, is can we even get to the job? Some of the vehicles were pretty rough, and we were traveling all over the state for sure, and parts of the country.
Now, there was a lot of little team building things we were able to do that kind of bonded as a friendship.
I went through the local vocational school. So the senior year at the vocational school, I was placed with a local carpenter. And that carpenter was doing sub work for J.R. West. Did that for a couple of years, and the housing industry kind of went flat, and we were finishing up a job for J.R. West in Amherst, and I had told him that I had landed another carpenter job. And he goes, well, if I had work, I'd hire you. And I really didn't know what he was talking about at the time. I didn't know what he and Dick were doing with the spray foam on the side. About a year later, J.R. reached out to me to come to work for them. And like I said, I really didn't know what they were doing, but I needed a job, and he was offering me $6 an hour at the time, which was big money back then.
It was June of 1980, and my brother came and found me and said, hey, we got this job that we need some help on. What are you doing tomorrow? I was sitting on a bank of a river with my buddies during the summer fishing, and I said, well, I guess I go to work tomorrow. And here we are 38 years later.
Brian brought Dick West in to spray the attic. We built an attic set in our vocational school carpentry class, and he sprayed the attic in and talked about polyurethane foam. I ended up getting a job with West Insulation System, which was the name of the roofing company at the time.
You are who you hang out with. We really take pride in associating ourselves with these big names. And they're challenging projects at the same time. There's a story to tell with each one of these projects.
They did Wingfoot at Goodyear in Akron, and then the Goodyear Air Dock, we did the doors on them. Ray Chevalier was on that the first year.
It's called a spider basket. The top of the roof was 225 feet. And this was a small, very small steel cable that it was like a spider web. I mean, you'd run the cable all the way to the ground and it would raise this basket up. We had modified these baskets to keep them off. They're for window cleaning, so they're supposed to just hang vertically. Well, the air dock is a curve. So we had to configure wheels to keep the basket off the roof so we could spray the foam and it would have time to cure before we ran it back up again.
Playhouse Square, the relationship started before I was on with the organization. It started in 1984. They were in the middle of a massive transformation of 5 theaters at Playhouse Square District. They had basically gotten to the point where they almost saw the wrecking ball, and a small group of philanthropists decided to get together and rebuild these. It was shortly thereafter that installation where we came in and started helping with additional roofs and maintaining that initial installation.
Every once in a while we come across roofs that people have forgotten about, and we get an opportunity to go back in and try and fix them up. We have that project right here in our county that we got a phone call about a roof that I installed 26 years ago. And then to have the ability to go back in and breathe some more life into it, that to me is very cool. I'm looking at that job as, for 26 years old, that roof looked pretty doggone good. And to me, I'm kind of using that as part of my legacy. Is I want to get that thing fixed up. I want it to look beautiful and do a paper on it. And it was a very cool job. I remember it back then. It was very cool to get back on it again.
It was pretty much one goal. When I worked for Brian and Mike, those two would head up on the roof first when the rest of us knew, what to get out of the trucks, what to prep for. They would holler down what we were going to need on this particular project, and we would just go. And that, Brian orchestrates things as well as anybody I've ever seen on a job site.
I've done so many things with the guys and on jobs and getting work done. That's a huge, everybody's at the end of the day is just so like, we did it, That's cool stuff, man.
And it just built a team.
We didn't really have radios back then, so we were always yelling off the edge. And we had a guy on the ground, because obviously it was so far away to operate the equipment and change drums over and all that. So to communicate, the guy on the ground was always yelling, hey Ray, and if we'd hear him, we'd go to the edge, and we were tied off and safe and everything. Well, we finished the day, stopped at the local convenience store. It was an hour and a half drive home, and so we stopped in for a pop and whatever snack on the way home, and one guy gets out of the truck and he's walking in the store, and he turns around and he goes, hey Ray, you want something? And this guy come out the store and he's like, who is this Ray guy? All day long I've heard, hey Ray, hey Ray. He was out on the lake fishing all day, and he could hear the voices traveling, and it was just, thought that was pretty comical that he's like, who is this Ray guy?
Initially, the small knit group that we were back then, yeah, I mean, we were all like a family, so we used to, in the mornings, if it was raining or whatever, waiting for the sky to clear up before we went to work, we'd go out in the side yard, we'd play football, so we got our aggressions out at each other out there before we went to the job.
These guys were top of the line, top of the class for me. They were, I looked up to them dudes. I wanted to be where they were, and I still do. You know what I mean? I am very driven to do more. I want to be, I just want to exceed all my expectations, and my expectations are unlimited. They really are. I want to go further. I want to do things, but for me, I had to learn from the elders. If I didn't go from the top and learn from them guys, then how could I, keep it going and for us to be, continuing success down the line.
And how many times were you on the roof and you had the guy next to you say, this is what I love about my office, and you're standing, 40 feet in the air on a roof overlooking a valley and the city in the background,
Oh yeah.
How many times, this is my office. So it was never the same thing twice. You never knew what the day was going to bring you. It was a couple days after high school, I got a phone call from my uncle. He said, we've got a big job for a school and I need some guys to work on the roof. I said, can you start tomorrow? And at the time I was landscaping and wasn't having much fun. So let me make a phone call. The next morning I was at West Roofing getting ready to go work on a roof.
When I first heard about West Roofing Systems, I was actually fishing with Scott West and Mike West on a fishing boat. And he asked me if I wanted a job. And I said, sure. He's like, well, come in Monday morning and we'll get you going. So I was about 18 years old. Showed up Monday morning, not knowing what to expect. And from there on, I worked with Robert Bosley, and my first day he came up to me and asked me if I liked it, and I said, it was all right. 14-hour days are pretty long days. And he's like, well, if you want to continue to work here, you need to pick up the pace. So after 24 years, I picked up the pace, obviously.
My father happened to be working for a division of West Roofing Systems called West General Contractors. He heard that they needed an estimator, so about midday that day I get a call from Dick West and Ray Dill and wondering if I'm available that evening for an interview.
There was a few years that Brian and I worked together and we traveled. Just being part of that group and being productive and getting so much work done, it was an enjoyable couple of years. It was a family, it was a group, and we stuck together and we made it fun.
Parma, it was like the 10th largest school district in the state at the time. In 1993, we were awarded a contract for 12 buildings. Now, keep in mind that schools really like you off of their property before school starts the next season, which typically, at that time, that was the end of August. I didn't start until July 30th. And I was basically given the ultimatum, you have to get this work done before school starts. So at that time, teamed up with Ronnie Perdue. He was another crew leader at the time. He and I and probably about 12 to 15 guys, we worked every single day. We did 12 buildings. I completed the project one day before school started.
It's motivating to be able to go to different places and then still hear the West Roofing name saying, oh, they do a good job, they do a good job. People were, I can remember we were working at Prairie State in Chicago. And a guy, I don't know who he was, but he seen us in the truck and he, West Roofing, West Roofing. I heard about you guys. Are you hiring? Like, that was, to me, that was awesome.
I went from Winter Haven straight to Chicago for a large 1.3 million square foot roof in North Lake, Illinois.
The roof was approximately 1/4 of a mile by 1/4 of a mile.
And at the time, it was the largest single-story foam roofing project ever to be installed at one time.
The only way to access this roof was to put everything on the roof. We had to have the foam machines on the roof. We had all the drums on the roof. That was the project that we bought our crane, because we had to have the crane to lift up all the barrels and everything we needed to get up on the roof, and then transport it with the trailers out across this roof.
Learned an awful lot. Brian taught me how to foam on that job.
I actually had a job site trailer with my own fax machine. We actually even had a phone line put into the trailer.
Everything you do in life, no matter if it's at work or at home or at play, you have to have your team, and to be able to lean on them in hard times, good times, whatever. I mean, you've got to be able to build it, and Dick West always looked at it as a way to continue to build teamwork outside of work. Whether it was a hunting trip or a fishing trip. We were working in Chicago. There was 30 of us, and we had a rain day, and he got 30-some tickets behind home plate, and we caravanned downtown and went to an Indians game, or not an Indians game, went to a White Sox game, and I still talk to guys today that were with us at that game, and they still remember that. And that was 25 years ago.
We'd get a week's notice, and we'd pile into 3 cars and jam each other in, and you're stuck for a 16-hour drive beside a guy. And it's not these type of trips where, okay, we're gonna drive for 8 hours and stop and get a nice dinner. No, we're gonna haul all the way until we get there. And a lot of these are off-road excursions, where we're riding these dirt roads for hours, and you're beat up and you're tired before you even get there. But there's a constant conversation going on.
It seemed like it was always business all the time, but it was a great break when we got the opportunity to go out and, enjoy Mother Nature. It was just like a family, we spend every day working. And those, trips was just relaxation, and it was just a time to spend together and learn more about the person you work with, and that meant a lot.
We used to go on a fishing trip every year, and like either to Del Hollow or to place in Kentucky, and we never caught many fish. But we spent 2 days together as a group. Maybe 3 or 4 people were on your boat, but you spent time with those people. In the evening, we'd get together and play cards, and it was a camaraderie more than anything else.
One of our top 20 fundamentals is to always have fun, and at least since I've been here, our leader, Jack Moore, has really emphasized doing that with everyone in the company. I always hear stories from the 80s about how they would go out on hunting and fishing trips together for weekends or week-long, and they would use it as a time for teams to get together and get out of the field and get to know each other. And they're still doing that now. They're taking different teams out, whether they're going out for lunch or the admin team may go get their nails done. And a couple weeks ago, I went out with a group of people to go shoot guns at a range, which was exciting. Not many people get to say that their boss taught them how to shoot a gun.
I really like that connection. And I like, when the new guys come in, I want to learn their names and be like, hey, Colin, how are you doing today? Or even, guys that are in the field at the other end. Hey, how's that guy doing? How's this guy doing?
Dick always looked at building the camaraderie of the team, because without the team, you can't accomplish what we have to accomplish every day.
In 08 and 09, we did the Iraq project under the Honeywell federal contract, or Department of Defense contracts.
Once we had the project secured and all that, and we were prepared, Dick and I went to Iraq, just me and Dick, to do like a scouting mission to see what this is going to really all be about. But before I went to Iraq, Dick asked me to select somebody to take my place. So unbeknownst to the crews down there, I was kind of monitoring who I felt could take my job.
Brian and I had a conversation one day, and I'd been running cruise for quite a few years, and I asked him what the next step was for me. He's like, you don't want it. And I just kept on bugging him about it. And then one day he took me to lunch and he asked me if I wanted to run the production end of this organization, because he was heading to Iraq to run a field. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. And I thank him every day for that.
2 weeks later is when I took the balance of the team to Iraq. We all had to go through training. Everything was brand new. Every single thing that we had going over there was brand new. Air compressors, generators, coating rigs, backup equipment. We actually arrived before the equipment, so we ended up sitting around waiting. It got held up for inspections, but once it showed up, man, I opened up those sea containers and everything was perfect. I thought for sure I was gonna find this mess inside of these containers, but no, everything was just the way I remember it going in there when it left LaGrange. Then we started putting it all together on the ground, and off we went. They extended the contract. They added to the contract. Team went back over in 2009.
Jabala, it was a Iraqi military base south of Baghdad. The project was being funded by the U.S. government and being run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This particular project was on an Iraqi base, and we were not traveling with the U.S. military. We were traveling with private security. It was a little scary, you know, when you're on a U.S. base. These bases are protected by 20-foot high, 2-foot wide, 2-foot thick concrete walls. We got to the Jabala base, and it was basically a 10-foot high chain link fence. When you're in the middle of this base, you know, you could look in all directions and see as far as the eye could see. It was kind of one of those eye-opening moments. There was a language barrier. You know, there were 6 West Roofing employees and 16 local nationals. On only one of those 16 spoke broken English. And you can't just grab 3 or 4 guys and tell them what you want done. You know, you've got to get that translated. Our translator was amazing. They showed up every day. They were ready to go. And the project, I mean, other than we seem to have high winds every afternoon, what probably would have taken us 4 weeks to do in Ohio took us 7 weeks to do in Iraq.
It's exciting to be able to see the projects that come in, the grand scale of them, or how interesting they can be. We've done historical theaters and ginormous manufacturing facilities, and we've won awards almost every year for the past 10 years maybe. I mean, the workmanship that we get to see, at least on the admin and marketing side, that we see the guys do out there every day is extraordinary.
It's about a legacy. You know, Dick West built a legacy that was 30 plus years that set a business up for success. You know, we're carrying the baton as the next stage of ownership. And not only is it a pride factor in that here I am, a guy from LaGrange, graduate of Keystone, owning a company. We help provide for 100 people in basically east of the Mississippi. You know, we have a huge footprint. It's an extreme responsibility to have the pride in developing and carrying that on to the future generations.
When this opportunity came up, I mean, it was a good fit. Actually, Dick didn't approach me. It was Brian. Says, you know, hey, we're talking about this, and then are you interested? And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, I was there before. I kind of run the Georgia office, so it just kind of made sense to have say in the way that things would be, you know, handled on a corporate level.
To me, it was pretty easy, really, because I had already basically committed everything I did for the company. I certainly had a lot of respect for Dick West and him for me. And when the opportunity came up, I was on the list basically of people he had suggested to be involved in this. So, you know, I did an awful lot through the company coming up. Transition was not hard.
You work so hard to think that you'll never make it, you know. Everybody teaches kids they have to go to college to be something in the world. But I just knew if I worked hard I'd make it in life and I'd find my way through it. And the day I was asked to become an owner, it was just a dream. You know, people ask you why you go out and you tear off roofs and you work hard day in, day out. And you never take any vacation time. And that was just the reason. I mean, that was the prize at the end of the tunnel there, that just, it worked out.
Then it was exciting and scary, and you know, the anticipation of what we could do and where we could take this thing. Just now it's, okay, let's get in and let's get to work and figure this thing out. So.
The leadership at Westerfield Systems is really unique because it's built up of people that started from the ground up, who really know the industry and what we do inside and out. And they're just a wealth of knowledge for people like me coming in to the industry.
Started here 2011, right out of high school. Had some family that was already part of West Roofing and was looking for a summer job. Now I've been here for going on my 8th season. Took me 5 years to get to foreman. I was just, like I said, you worked your way up. It was different with me because I was going to college at the time, so I was only here. The first 4 years of my career here, I was only here for 3 months at a time. So once I graduated college and then, you know, basically sat down with upper management and told them, hey, I'm all in, that's when we really got the ball rolling.
Started on the production side, kind of met Dustin, joined the service division, and he kind of took me under his wing, showed me everything that he knew, and kind of grew me from there. I spent I'd say about a year and a half with production, spent about the rest of my time here with service.
There's a lot of different projects. As many projects as we do here, you know, you get to do a lot of cool projects. Gorilla Glue, you know, in Cincinnati, it was such a big roof, and it was, you know, there were so many moving aspects of it, and just the daunting task of getting on that roof and looking at how much roof we have and thinking, oh, good Lord, it's going to be cold, and you know, in 2 months, are we going to be able to get this thing done? And that was a huge team effort. You know, there were a lot of guys came and went, and you just had to keep rolling with the punches.
We do a lot of low slope metal roofs down in Georgia, and those are great. Love those jobs. They look fantastic when they're done.
Colonnade was definitely a unique project. When we first got the call on this thing, it was you know, they need a coating applied to a slope metal roof system, and even the metal roofs we do typically don't exceed at most a 212 slope. Again, a very walkable surface.
I helped build the safety. They had me and Bobby go down there and said, if you guys can't figure out a way to do it, or if it can't be done, let us know and we won't bid it. And we figured it out.
Then you go look at the height, 6 and 9 stories on each building. It's just, you want me to do what? We had to be a little bit creative, not only having the confidence that the product that we were recommending was going to be functioning for 20 years, because you don't want to go back up there and try to fix a leak. The second part was, it was a big aesthetic concern. It was a landmark in the Birmingham area that people would say, over by the red roofs. They referred to it because it's very visible from a couple of miles away, so it was pretty neat to be able to match that color, maintain the aesthetics, provide the warranty, and it was actually an economic solution for the owner, because at that point they were looking at numbers that were basically weren't going to work from a budgetary standpoint.
There was one of the employees that we took down there. He's a good worker, real good worker. Never worked on pitched roofs before, and I asked him if he was willing to try it. And we went down there, and the job is not, a 712 is the lowest pitch. 90 feet in the air is the building we started on, and they had to get up there and start caulking. And the first day that they all got up there caulking, with my plan in place, we had the fall protection, we had the fall arrest in place, we had a positioning system in place, we had a guardrail system in place, but they were all crawling because it's a steep roof. And this one particular gentleman was scared a little bit. 2 weeks in, I looked up at him and he was standing on the very edge of that roof, leaning back. And I asked him when he climbed down that day, how can you do that 2 weeks after just, you know, your first time ever walking? And he said, we made a plan. I trust the plan. It works. And that is one of my favorite memories.
It's a brotherhood. At the end of the day, it's a brotherhood. You know, there's a core of I would call it 30 guys, you know, that I could literally say, you know, I look at that guy as a brother.
I think we're all very close-knit. I think we all work very well together. I also feel that when you hear our name out in the community, West Roofing, they rely on us. We're there for our community and for our customers.
It's part of my family, West Roofing Systems. I wake up every day and I really like coming and seeing the guys. They are my family. I probably see them more than I see my family most of the time.
I mean, it's family. It's, you know, again, you got a family at home, but you almost consider this a family because, you know, we spend more time together than we do our own families.
You know, we go hunting, we go on these trips, and we get together and we have a good time. And that's what it's about. You know, if you don't enjoy the people that you're working with, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, what's the reason that you're doing it?
It's enjoyable because you get to different atmospheres every time. You go different places, you see different things. I mean, a roof is not a roof. A roof is, to me, whatever the roof needs, I'm gonna give it. But just to go from city to city, state to state, town to town, the different people, the different networking you can do. It sounds crazy as a roofer, but there is a lot of different avenues you can have doing this job. So it was pretty motivating to stay part of this team.
I've got people in this industry that I've known for decades. And sometimes I only see them at these shows, but you still have that connection with them. And it's nice to be able to call on them when you need them too. So it's really good. It's our own little foam family, you know.
It's just one big family. So it means a lot to me, actually, personally, because I was taken in off the street, basically. I was a stray cat, and I feel like they took me in and shaped me, sculpted me the way I needed to be sculpted.
When I started on here, I was very, I'd say, shy and introverted. And if anybody knows Dick West, he's the complete opposite of that. And he definitely, I think, brought me out of my shell. I mean, I was not able to talk to people that I didn't know, and just, he definitely made me the man I am, I think. I give him a lot of credit for that.
I'm excited to see where we can go. In the last 32 and a half years, we've went from a company with 3 crews, probably a total of 20 employees.
When I started, there was, I think, 4 of us, you know, so now there's close to 100.
We have an opportunity to build something great. And by build, it could be anything from an individual to a great roof, to a great relationship. It's being able to pass the baton on to the next generation with a more vibrant company than when I started with it, or this group of owners started with it.
I've been here for about 2 years, and I think during my time we've added so many new positions and entirely new departments and how things work and people that we get to work with, and I think we're just growing tremendously. We have a whole new location since I've been here, and I just think that that's going to continue in the future. We're going to be able to do new things and go to new areas, and I think that's what everyone's excited about.
West Roofing means a lot. It's like, it's part of my life. It's part of my everyday thing. I want to make sure that West Roofing is successful, because if they fail, I feel like I fail.
I'd love to see this place blow up. I mean, it's already huge now, but you know, the more that we expand, the bigger that we get, the better it works out for all of us. And that just, you know, the bigger we get, it opens up more opportunities and even opportunities out of state.
I see them growing for the better. A lot of guys here that are willing to step up and take initiative to try and grow this company. So I could see us making a major step here in the near future.
I have no idea where this company can go with the proper leadership, and I think we have the leadership in place to do it.
If we can do that, we can do just about anything.